There is a moment in an age gap relationship that almost every mature man eventually notices, and almost none of them say anything about. It is not a fight. It is not a betrayal. It is something quieter and, in some ways, harder to confront because on the surface, nothing is wrong. She is warm with you, she is present. The connection, when you are alone together, feels completely real. But there is a boundary around the relationship that you did not draw, and you can feel exactly where it is. You have never met her friends. Her social media shows everything in her life except you. When her phone rings while you are together, she steps into the other room. When you suggest joining her for something, on a birthday, a dinner, a casual gathering, there's always a reason it does not quite work out. Never a refusal, just a soft, repeated deflection, and one day it lands on you all at once. You are not in her life. You are next to it. If you have felt this, if that strange experience of being deeply close to someone and completely invisible at the same time, this video is for you. Because what is happening has a specific psychological structure. It has been studied for decades, and it almost never means what men assume it means. Most men assume it means she is ashamed of them. The research says something different, something more uncomfortable in one way and far more workable in another. Stay with me through the full video because the second half covers the part most men get wrong. Not why she hides the relationship, but what men do in response. And why the most natural response is the one that ends it. Let me name the pattern first because naming it is what takes its power away. Before I do, I want you to sit with the experience for one more second. Because the men watching this who have lived it know exactly what I mean. It is not a clean absence. It is a specific, textured, almost surreal experience of intimacy and invisibility running at the same time. You know her in ways her closest friends probably do not, and yet her closest friends do not know you exist. You can hold both of those things in your head simultaneously and still not quite believe they are true. That is the experience. And the experience has a name. What you are experiencing is called compartmentalization. She has divided her life into two worlds, the world that contains you and the world that contains everyone else. And she is actively managing the wall between them. I want to be precise here because precision matters. This is not the same thing as privacy. Early in any relationship, some discretion is normal and healthy. A woman who has known you for 5 weeks and has not announced you to her entire social circle is not hiding you. She is being appropriately careful with something new. Compartmentalization is different in two specific ways. First, it is structural, not temporal. It does not fade as the relationship deepens. 6 months in, a year in, the wall is still standing. And if anything, it is better maintained than before. The relationship grows in depth while staying exactly the same size in her world. Second, it is actively managed. Privacy is passive. She simply has not gotten around to integrating you yet. Compartmentalization takes work. It requires editing photos before posting them. It requires keeping stories vague. It requires steering plans so the two worlds never touch. If you pay attention, you can see the effort. And effort is the tell. Nobody works that hard to maintain a boundary that does not matter to them. So the first thing to understand is this. If she is compartmentalizing, it is not an accident and it is not laziness. It is a strategy. The question that actually matters, the question this entire video is about, is what the strategy is protecting her from. And here is where most men get the answer wrong. The assumption almost every man makes is, she is ashamed of me. She thinks I am too old. She is embarrassed by what I say about her. That assumption feels obvious. It is also, in most cases, not what the research shows is happening. In 1963, the sociologist Irving Goffman published a landmark work on stigma, on how people manage information about parts of their lives that they expect others to judge. And one of his central insights was this: people do not hide things because of how they feel about those things. They hide things because of how they predict other people will react to them. Read that again because the distinction changes everything. The hiding is not driven by her judgment of you. It is driven by her forecast of their judgment, of the comments, the raised eyebrows, the questions she will have to answer, the version of the story her friends will construct before they have met you. Relationship scientists have a term for this: anticipated stigma. And age gap relationships are one of the most heavily studied examples because they are one of the most socially marginalized forms of legitimate adult relationship that exists. Researchers Justin Lim Miller and Christopher Agnew studied exactly these kinds of relationships, couples whose bond is disapproved of by their social network, and documented how powerfully that perceived disapproval shapes the way partners manage, present, and protect the relationship. So, what she is protecting is not her image of you, it is the relationship's safety inside her social world. She has run the simulation: the dinner where her best friend goes quiet, the group chat after, the "I just worry about you" conversation. And she has decided the simulation is too expensive, so she postpones it indefinitely. Now, I want to be honest with you because this channel does not exist to make you comfortable. It exists to make you clear. First, anticipated stigma is the most common driver, but it is not the only one. There is a minority of cases where the hiding really is what it looks like, where you are an option being kept warm, not a partner being protected. I am not going to pretend that case does not exist because you deserve the full picture, not the comfortable half of it. The good news is that the framework in the final section of this video distinguishes the two cases cleanly. You will not have to guess. Second, the fact that her hiding is usually driven by anticipated stigma rather than personal shame does not make it harmless. It makes it understandable. Those are different things. A relationship that lives permanently in hiding is paying a cost, whether or not anyone intends it. And that cost is what the next section is about. Because the research on hidden relationships does not say what most people romantically hope it says. There's a popular romantic idea about hidden love: the idea that secrecy makes a bond more intense, that a couple against the world grows stronger because of the opposition. Psychologists actually gave this idea a name decades ago: the Romeo and Juliet effect. Based on a 1972 study that seemed to show parental interference increasing romantic intensity. Here is what most people never hear. When researchers went back and tested that effect with modern methods, most notably a 2014 replication led by H. Colleen Sinclair, it failed to replicate. The opposition makes love stronger story is, as far as careful research can tell, a myth. What does the evidence actually show? The opposite. Decades of social network research, including longitudinal work by Susan Sprecher and Diane Felmley, consistently finds that approval and integration into partners' social networks predicts relationship quality and stability, while disapproval and isolation predict deterioration and breakup. Felmley summarized the entire field in one sentence that should be printed on a card and handed to every couple: no couple is an island. And Lee Miller and Agnew's work on marginalized relationships pointed in the same direction. Perceived disapproval from one's social world is associated with lower commitment over time, not higher. The wall does not protect the relationship. The wall slowly starves it. Why? Three mechanisms, and I will keep them simple. 1. A hidden relationship gets no reinforcement. Visible couples are constantly invisibly supported. Invitations addressed to both of them, friends asking how he is doing, a social fabric that assumes the relationship exists. That fabric stabilizes couples during rough patches. A hidden relationship has none of it. Every difficulty must be survived alone. 2. Hiding requires ongoing cognitive work: monitoring, editing, managing two versions of one life. That work is stressful, and the stress does not stay neatly contained inside the secrecy. It leaks into the relationship itself, often as irritability, distance, or a vague sense of heaviness neither partner can name. 3. And this is the one that matters most for you: a compartmentalized relationship cannot move forward. Integration into each other's lives is not decoration on top of commitment. It is the mechanism of commitment. A relationship that cannot be seen cannot grow, because every next step, meeting friends, sharing events, building a common world, requires crossing the exact wall she is maintaining. So here is where we stand at the halfway point. The hiding is usually not shame. It is anticipated stigma, a protective strategy. But the strategy has a cost that compounds quietly over time, and the relationship cannot outrun it forever. Which brings us to the question that decides everything. What do you do about it? Because what most men do, and I understand completely why they do it, is the one thing guaranteed to make it worse. Let me show you how this usually goes wrong. What follows is a composite scenario, an illustration built from common patterns, not the story of any specific individual. Michael is 54. He has been seeing Dana, 31, for 8 months. The relationship is real. He knows it is real. But he has never met a single person from her life. He has told himself it does not bother him. It bothers him. Dana's birthday is coming up. Her friends are organizing a dinner. Michael waits for the invitation that he is sure must be coming this time. 8 months after all. And it does not come. Dana mentions the dinner in passing, casually, the way you mention weather. And something in Michael tips over. Months of swallowed feeling come out in one conversation. Am I a secret? Are you embarrassed by me? Either I exist in your life or I don't. It is not cruel. It is honest. But it is honest in the form of an ultimatum, delivered at the exact pressure point she has been most afraid of. Now look at what Michael just did from inside Dana's psychology. Her entire strategy was built to avoid a high-stakes, judgment-heavy confrontation about the relationship. And the relationship just produced one. From inside the walls. The thing she feared from her friends arrived from her partner instead. Her conclusion is almost automatic. The relationship is not a safe place either. This is the trap, and I want you to see its exact shape. The hiding wounds the man. The wounded man eventually erupts or withdraws. The eruption or withdrawal confirms her fear that exposure leads to pain. So she reinforces the wall, which wounds him further. Every cycle through that loop makes the wall thicker, and the man is now an active participant in building it. The other common response? Silent resentment. The slow, quiet tallying of every exclusion is just the same trap in slow motion. She can feel the resentment even when he says nothing. Unnamed resentment reads as instability. And instability is exactly what the compartment was built to contain. What Michael needed was a third option, one that names the reality without weaponizing it. Not an ultimatum, not silence. A calm, single observation in a moment he chose, with no event creating pressure on either side. That option exists. It works differently from either of the two roads he took, and it is exactly what the next section covers. So if the ultimatum makes it worse and silence makes it worse, what is left? That is the final section. And it is the part that requires the most from you because it asks you to do something genuinely difficult. Address the wall without attacking the person who built it. 3 recalibrations. In order. Recalibration 1. Diagnose before you react. Not all hiding is the same, and treating early-stage privacy like structural compartmentalization will manufacture a problem that did not exist. Ask yourself 2 questions. How long has this been going on relative to the depth of the relationship? And is the boundary softening over time, or is it being maintained? 3 months of discretion that is gradually loosening is a relationship integrating at a normal pace. A year of active, effortful separation that has not moved an inch is a structure. Only the second one needs this conversation. Recalibration 2. Have the conversation as an observation, not an accusation. The entire difference lives in the framing. An accusation makes her defend the wall. An observation invites her to explain it, and very often she has never explained it out loud, even to herself. It sounds like this. Calm moment, no event on the horizon, no deadline attached. I've noticed our relationship and the rest of your life don't really touch. I'm not angry about it, and I'm not asking you to change anything tonight. I just want to understand it because it matters to me. Notice what that sentence structure does. It names the wall, so it can no longer operate invisibly. It removes the immediate threat, so she does not have to defend. And it asks for her reasoning, which is the first time the anticipated stigma gets spoken instead of silently managed. In a relationship that is fundamentally healthy, that conversation is usually a turning point. You will likely hear some version of, "My friends will judge before they meet you, and I haven't known how to deal with that," which is not an insult. It is the strategy, finally said out loud. And a strategy that has been said out loud can be renegotiated. A strategy that stays silent cannot. One more thing about this conversation, because I owe you the version where it does not go well. If you bring the wall up calmly with no pressure and no deadline, and her response is still defensiveness, deflection, or turning it back on you as insecurity, pay close attention to that. A woman protecting the relationship from outside judgment softens when she realizes you are not the judgment. A woman protecting her options hardens. You asked one gentle question, and the answer told you which compartment you are in. That single data point is worth more than another 6 months of wondering. Recalibration 3. After the conversation, watch the trajectory, not the promises. Words are cheap in the week after an honest conversation. What matters is direction over the following 2 or 3 months. Does the integration begin? Even small steps. One friend, one casual setting, one unedited photo. Steps can be slow. Slow is fine. Slow is human. But the direction must exist. Because here is the hard truth this channel owes you. If the wall is still fully intact months after it has been named, calmly, without pressure, then you have your answer about the relationship's ceiling. Not because she is a bad person, but because she has chosen, with full awareness, to keep the relationship in a form that cannot grow. And a man in his 40s, 50s, or 60s does not have decades to spend inside someone else's compartment. Knowing the difference between a relationship that is integrating slowly and a relationship that will never integrate at all, that is not pessimism. That is the self-respect this entire series has been about from the first episode. Let me bring this all the way home. If she hides you from her friends, the odds are it is not shame about you. It is fear of the judgment she has already simulated 100 times. The anticipated stigma that researchers have documented in age gap relationships for decades. Understanding that should soften your anger. It should not lower your standards. Because the research is equally clear on the other side. Hidden relationships do not grow stronger in the dark. No couple is an island. A bond that cannot be seen is a bond that is quietly running out of road, no matter how real it feels when the two of you are alone. Your job is not to tear the wall down by force. Force confirms the fear. Your job is to name the wall calmly, give her a genuine chance to begin dismantling it, and then watch the direction. Not the words, the direction. A relationship that is moving toward the light, however slowly, is worth your patience. A relationship that has chosen the dark permanently is not asking for your patience. It is asking for your life, in installments. You get to decide which one you are in. And now you have the tools to decide accurately. Leave me one word in the comments. Are you seen or hidden? That is all. I read every single one.